Imagine standing at the edge of a brand new year, 2025. You have dreams, goals, ambitions. But if we're honest, most of us start every year with the same excitement, only to find ourselves stuck in the same routines, facing the same struggles. But what if I told you that in just 11 minutes, you could unlock the mindset that will make 2025 your most extraordinary year yet? Not by working harder, not by wishing for luck, but by shifting the way you think, act, and show up in your life. Let's break this down into 5 key principles, 5 powerful shifts that will separate those who thrive in 2025 from those who just survive. Most people believe that to achieve great things, they need to be constantly motivated. They chase after inspiration, looking for the next book, the next podcast, the next speech to reignite their drive. But motivation is like a sugar rush. It gives you a quick burst of energy, a spike in enthusiasm, but it doesn't last. It fades, leaving you searching for another hit, another reason to keep going. This is why so many people struggle to sustain their efforts. They don't have a motivation problem, they have a clarity problem. Clarity is what separates those who drift from those who achieve. It's the difference between wandering aimlessly and moving forward with purpose. When you have clarity, you don't need motivation to push you, your vision pulls you. When you know exactly what you want and why it matters, action becomes automatic. It stops being a question of should I and becomes a matter of how will I. Consider the people who have changed the world, not the ones who made a quick impact and faded, but those whose contributions lasted. They weren't the ones chasing motivation, they were the ones with absolute clarity. Their success was not the result of constant excitement, but of unwavering focus. Think about Elon Musk. His companies don't rely on motivational speeches to keep moving forward. They thrive on an undeniable sense of purpose. His vision is clear: to make life multiplanetary, to revolutionize energy, to redefine transportation. This clarity means he doesn't wake up every morning needing a pep talk. He doesn't rely on external sources of inspiration to keep going. The mission itself is the fuel. The mistake many people make is thinking that motivation will lead them to success, when in reality, clarity is what creates sustainable momentum. Imagine waking up every day knowing exactly what you need to do and why it matters. Imagine making decisions without hesitation because your purpose is so well defined that the right path is always clear. This is what clarity gives you: eliminates doubt, reduces procrastination, and builds resilience. When you know where you're going, obstacles don't stop you, they become part of the journey. Think about a time in your life when you felt completely lost. Maybe it was in your career, your relationships, or your personal growth. You didn't lack motivation, you lacked direction. Without a clear destination, even the best roadmap is useless. This is why people get stuck. They focus on feeling inspired instead of getting clear on where they're headed. They look for external validation instead of internal certainty. And when motivation fades, they stop moving. Clarity is the antidote to uncertainty. It gives you confidence, not because you have all the answers, but because you know what questions to ask. It keeps you moving forward even when things get tough. It allows you to make choices based on what truly matters rather than being swayed by temporary emotions or distractions. When you are clear on your mission, you don't need to convince yourself to take action. It becomes instinctive. Think about the people you admire, the ones who seem unstoppable. They are not superhuman. They have the same fears, doubts, and struggles as everyone else. The difference is that they have clarity. They know why they do what they do, and because of that, they don't get lost in the highs and lows of motivation. They stay the course, adjusting as needed, but never losing sight of their purpose. The question is, what do you want most in 2025? Not in vague general terms like success or happiness. Those are just concepts, not destinations. Get specific. What does success look like for you? What does happiness mean in your life? Write it down. See it in your mind. Make it so clear that there is no room for doubt. The more defined your vision, the easier it becomes to take action. Once you have clarity, everything else starts to fall into place. Your decisions become easier because they align with your purpose. Your daily actions become more meaningful because they contribute to a bigger goal. You stop second-guessing yourself because you know exactly where you're headed. And most importantly, you stop relying on motivation to move forward because clarity itself becomes your driving force. Motivation is temporary, it's unreliable, it comes and goes like the wind. But clarity is power. Clarity is what gives you the ability to keep going when others quit. It's what makes the difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who spend their lives wishing things were different. So the real challenge is not finding more motivation. It's getting clear on what you want and why it matters. Once you have that, You won't need motivation. You'll have something far more powerful. We all want to improve. We set goals. We dream big. We tell ourselves this time it will be different. And yet, despite the best of intentions, despite the determination that burns brightly at the start, most people falter. They get excited about a new year, a fresh opportunity, a bold vision, only to find themselves slipping back into old habits, caught in the inertia of life. Why does this happen? Why do so many fail to sustain the momentum they once had? Because they rely on willpower. And willpower, as strong as it might feel in the moment, is fleeting. It's like trying to hold onto water with your hands. It might work for a short time, but eventually it slips through your fingers. When we're tired, when stress hits, when life gets overwhelming, our willpower evaporates. And without a system to catch us when we fall, we revert to what is easy, what is familiar, what is comfortable. We don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. That is the difference between those who dream and those who achieve. Those who build great things in this world don't rely on bursts of motivation. They don't rely on waking up every day and hoping they'll feel inspired to take action. No, they create structures that make success inevitable. They build systems that remove friction, that make the right thing the easy thing, that allow them to show up even when they don't feel like it. Consider the greatest athletes in the world. They don't leave their training to chance. Serena Williams doesn't wake up and think, do I feel like practicing today? She has a schedule, a team, a framework that ensures she shows up regardless of how she feels. The system is what makes her great, not a momentary surge of motivation. It is not her willpower that keeps her moving forward. It is the infrastructure she has built around herself, a structure so strong that even on the hardest days, it holds her up. We admire people like that. We look at their discipline, their drive, and we assume they have something we don't. But the truth is, they have simply engineered their environment for success. They have made the right choices automatic, and we can do the same. If you want to be healthier, don't rely on the hope that you'll resist junk food when you're hungry. Remove the temptation. Prepare meals in advance. Fill your fridge with nutritious options. Make it easier to grab a healthy snack than an unhealthy one. If you want to exercise regularly, don't just tell yourself you'll work out when you have time. Set a schedule. Pack your gym bag the night before. Make it as easy as possible to follow through. If you want to read more, don't just promise yourself you'll pick up a book when you feel like it. Place books where you'll see them every day. Make reading a default activity instead of a decision you have to make. Success is not about pushing harder. It's about removing obstacles. It's about designing a system so foolproof that success becomes the path of least resistance. When people fail, it's not because they lack discipline. It's because they didn't build a structure that supports them when their discipline inevitably falters. Look at businesses that thrive. They don't rely on employees simply being motivated every day. They put systems in place, checklists, accountability structures, automated workflows, so that excellence is the standard, not the exception. It's not about hiring the most self-motivated people. It's about creating an environment where the right actions are the natural outcome. The same is true in our personal life. If we depend on willpower, we set ourselves up for failure. But if we design systems, we set ourselves up for success. Systems beat willpower every single time. And the best part, once a system is in place, it requires far less effort. It becomes automatic. Habits become ingrained. Success becomes a byproduct of the process, not a battle you have to fight every day. So if there is something you want to achieve, don't ask yourself, how can I try harder? Ask yourself, how can I make this easier? Because the people who achieve great things are not the ones who push through exhaustion, who fight every day to stay on track, who rely on the limited fuel of motivation. They are the ones who build a machine that keeps moving forward, even on the days they feel like stopping. They are the ones who understand that systems don't just make success possible, they make it inevitable. Success isn't about massive action. It's about small, consistent improvements. That's what we're told, right? But let's be honest. How many of us truly believe it? We live in a world that glorifies the grand, the monumental, the overnight sensation. We love the idea of transformation, of waking up one morning and suddenly having it all figured out. But that's not how real, lasting success happens. The truth is, most of us are looking for the breakthrough moment, the big win, the viral moment. We want the change to be immediate, the results to be obvious, and the journey to be short. But that's not how progress works. Success isn't an explosion, it's an evolution. And at the heart of that evolution is something deceptively simple, the 1% rule. The idea that small, consistent improvements lead to massive results over time. Let's take a look at the British cycling team. For nearly 100 years, they were mediocre at best. No major wins, no real presence in the sport. Then, a new coach, Dave Brailsford, introduced a radical yet simple concept: marginal gains. The idea was straightforward. If they could improve every element of cycling by just 1%, those tiny gains would compound into something extraordinary. So they did. They found slightly better pillows to improve sleep. They made tiny adjustments to the aerodynamics of their bikes. They optimized nutrition by mere percentages. Individually, these changes seemed insignificant, but together, within 5 years, they dominated the Olympics. They won multiple Tour de France titles, and they rewrote history. Now, think about your own life. What if instead of chasing the grand transformation, you focused on small, consistent improvements? What if instead of trying to get rich this year, you just became 1% better at managing money every day? What if instead of aiming for an instant six-pack, you committed to improving one small fitness habit at a time? Most people don't fail because they lack talent, ambition, or intelligence. They fail because they give up too soon. They expect big results fast, and when they don't see them, they quit. But if you shift your focus to incremental progress, you remove the pressure, you stop expecting perfection and start embracing progress. You understand that small wins compound. Here's the challenge: pick one area of your life where you want to improve. Just one. And instead of setting a massive, intimidating goal, commit to 1% daily progress. If it's finances, maybe you start by tracking your spending. Just that. If it's health, maybe you commit to drinking one more glass of water a day. If it's relationships, maybe you send one thoughtful text a day to someone you care about. At first, these changes seem laughably small, insignificant. But over time, they build momentum. One healthy meal turns into two. One act of kindness turns into a habit. One moment of discipline turns into a lifestyle. And before you know it, you're looking back at a version of yourself who used to struggle with things that now feel effortless. Because here's the secret: consistency beats intensity. Every time. Anyone can go to the gym once and work out until they collapse. That's intensity. But the person who goes 3 times a week, no matter how tired, no matter how unmotivated, that's consistency, and consistency is what creates results. The people we admire, the ones who seem to have it all together, who are thriving in their careers, their health, their relationships, they aren't superhuman. They just understand this principle. They've embraced the fact that success isn't about taking one giant leap forward. It's about taking one small step every single day and never stopping. So today, right now, you have a choice. You can keep searching for the magic bullet, the big moment, the instant transformation, or you can start small. You can take ownership of the little things that seem meaningless, but actually shape your future. And if you commit to that, if you commit to just getting 1% better every day, you'll wake up one day and realize you've accomplished more than you ever thought possible. Your environment shapes you more than your willpower does. This is not just an observation, it's a fundamental truth about human nature. We like to believe that we are the masters of our own fate, that our discipline and drive are enough to propel us to success, but the reality is that people around us have a far greater influence on our lives than we often acknowledge. Imagine walking into a room filled with negative energy, complaints, doubts, excuses. How long before you start absorbing that energy? It happens almost unconsciously. And when you're surrounded by people who believe the world is against them, who find reasons to settle rather than reasons to grow, their mindset seeps into your own. You start seeing limitations where opportunities once stood. You start doubting yourself in moments where you used to have conviction. But let's flip that scenario. Picture yourself in a room where people are driven, inspired, and committed to something greater than themselves. Conversations are about possibilities, not limitations. Failures are stepping stones, not roadblocks. In this environment, your own thinking starts to shift. You begin to believe in bigger dreams, take bolder actions, and push past boundaries that once seemed immovable. Science backs this up. Studies have shown that our behaviors, habits, and even our outlook on life are heavily influenced by the people we spend the most time with. If your closest friends are overweight, you are significantly more likely to be overweight. If they are financially irresponsible, you'll likely develop the same tendencies. This isn't coincidence, it's the power of influence at play. We unconsciously adopt the beliefs, habits, and even the emotional patterns of the people we surround ourselves with. This is why choosing your inner circle is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make. Think about the 5 people you spend the most time with. Do they challenge you to grow? Do they inspire you to be better? Do they push you to step outside your comfort zone? If the answer is no, it's time to rethink your environment. This isn't about cutting people off or looking down on those who are struggling. It's about making a conscious choice to align yourself with individuals who elevate you. Growth-minded people don't just push themselves, they push everyone around them to be better. When you surround yourself with people who are committed to excellence, you will find yourself naturally rising to their level. History is filled with examples of people who understood the power of their inner circle. Steve Jobs surrounded himself with people who challenged his thinking, who didn't just agree with him, but pushed him to refine his ideas. Elon Musk built companies alongside people who shared his relentless drive for innovation. Look at any successful individual, and you'll see a common pattern. They were intentional about who they allowed into their space. They sought out mentors, advisors, and friends who sharpened their thinking and fueled their ambition. So how do you apply this in your own life? Start by auditing your circle. Pay attention to the conversations you have. Are they filled with inspiration, ideas, and solutions? Or are they dominated by gossip, complaints, and excuses? Energy is contagious. Make sure you're catching the right kind. Next, seek out the kind of people who embody the future you want. If you want to be fit and healthy, spend time with people who prioritize fitness. If you want financial independence, engage with those who are disciplined and strategic about money. If you want to build a meaningful career, find mentors who have walked the path before you. This isn't about pretending to be something you're not. It's about positioning yourself in an environment that nurtures the best version of you. It might feel uncomfortable at first. Growth always does. You may have to step into new spaces, join new communities, and start conversations with people who intimidate you. That's a good thing. Comfort zones don't lead to greatness. And let's address the hardest part, letting go of relationships that no longer serve you. This isn't about cutting people out of your life with coldness or arrogance. It's about recognizing when a relationship is holding you back. Some people are anchors, keeping you stuck in the same patterns, while others are wings, helping you soar to new heights. It's your job to know the difference. We often underestimate just how much we are shaped by the company we keep. But when you start making intentional choices about who you surround yourself with, you'll notice a shift. You'll start thinking bigger, you'll start taking bolder actions, and most importantly, you'll start becoming the person you were meant to be. So take a moment and reflect. Who in your life challenges you? Who inspires you? Who makes you want to be better? If you don't have those people yet, go find them. Because your future is being shaped right now by the people you choose to have around you. You don't achieve goals, you become the person who achieves them. This is a truth that, once understood, changes everything. We live in a world that fixates on outcomes, on the car, the bank balance, the job title, the ideal weight. We set goals with the hope that once we reach them, our lives will transform. But the real transformation doesn't happen at the finish line. It happens in the journey, in the daily decisions, in the person you become along the way. The people who consistently achieve remarkable things are not those who obsess over the finish line, but those who commit to becoming the kind of person who naturally reaches it. Too often, we get caught up in the illusion that success is about acquiring things. We believe that if we just work hard enough, hustle long enough, and push relentlessly toward a goal, we'll eventually have what we desire. But true, lasting success doesn't come from chasing, it comes from evolving. Instead of asking, how do I get what I want, ask, who do I need to become in order to naturally attract and sustain what I want? If you want financial abundance, don't just chase money. Become the kind of person who understands money, respects it, and uses it wisely. The kind of person who studies wealth, makes strategic investments, and operates from a mindset of growth rather than scarcity. If you want to be healthy, don't just focus on weight loss. Become the kind of person who prioritizes their health, who exercises because they love their body, who eats well because they value energy and vitality. The goals you seek are not external. They are reflections of your internal identity. Every action you take is a vote for the person you are becoming. If you wake up early to work on your craft, you are casting a vote for discipline. If you choose to spend time learning instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media, you are casting a vote for wisdom. Every small choice, no matter how insignificant it seems, is reinforcing an identity. This is why change is difficult, because it's not about willpower or motivation. It's about rewiring the way you see yourself. If you identify as someone who is undisciplined, then no matter how many times you set a goal, you will subconsciously sabotage your progress. But if you start seeing yourself as someone who follows through, someone who is committed, someone who does what they say they will do, everything changes. Think about the people who inspire you, the leaders, the innovators, the game changers. What makes them different? It's not just their talent, their resources, or their circumstances, it's their identity. They don't just act successful, they believe they are the kind of people who succeed. They don't just chase opportunities, they create them. They don't wait for permission, they take action because they have already decided that success is part of who they are. One of the greatest mistakes people make is waiting to feel ready. They think they need more knowledge, more confidence, more experience before they take the leap. But the truth is, readiness is a myth. The people who achieve extraordinary things don't wait to feel ready. They step into the identity of the person they want to become, and in doing so, they create their own readiness. Confidence is not a prerequisite for action, it is a byproduct of taking action. You don't become courageous by thinking about courage. You become courageous by acting in the face of fear again and again until fear no longer controls you. Imagine it's the end of 2025 and you have already achieved everything you set out to do. How do you think? How do you behave? How do you make decisions? If you had already built the business, written the book, reached the fitness level, or transformed your relationships, what kind of person would you be? The key is to start embodying that version of yourself today, not tomorrow, not when things feel perfect, right now. The people who achieve their goals are not the ones who merely set them, but the ones who step into the identity required to sustain them. If you set a goal to become a successful entrepreneur but still operate with the mindset of an employee waiting for instructions, you will struggle. If you want to be in a loving relationship but still hold on to the habits of someone who pushes people away, you will experience frustration. If you want to be healthy but still identify as someone who hates exercise, your progress will always be temporary. Your external reality will always be a reflection of your internal identity. This is why discipline is so powerful. It's not about forcing yourself to do things you hate. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally does what is required, the kind of person who doesn't negotiate with their own commitments, the kind of person who doesn't say, I'll try, but instead says, this is who I am. When your identity aligns with your goal, action becomes effortless. When you see yourself as an athlete, you train without questioning it. When you see yourself as a successful business owner, you make bold moves with confidence. When you see yourself as a lifelong learner, you seek knowledge without needing motivation. We all have moments where we feel stuck, where progress seems slow, where doubts creep in. In those moments, the question is not how do I push harder, but how do I shift my identity? If success feels difficult, it's not because the goal is impossible, it's because you are still operating with an old version of yourself. The moment you truly decide that you are the kind of person who achieves that goal, everything shifts. Your actions, your decisions, your priorities, they all start aligning effortlessly. So I challenge you today, stop chasing goals and start becoming the person who naturally achieves them. Instead of focusing on what you want to have, focus on who you need to be. Because once you become that person, the results will take care of themselves. Every action, every decision, every choice, let it be a vote for the future you want. The power is already within you. You just have to claim it. 2025 isn't going to be your best year because of luck. It will be your best year because you choose to make it so. Get clarity on what you truly want. Build systems that make success inevitable. Focus on small, consistent improvements because 1% daily progress compounds. Surround yourself with people who lift you higher. And most importantly, become the person who deserves the success you seek. You don't need more time, money, or motivation. You just need a shift in how you approach your future. Give me 11 minutes, and I've given you the blueprint. Now, give yourself the next year, and make 2025 the year that changes everything. Let's make it happen.